How's it going, everyone? Today I'm going to be showing you how to use my absolute favorite tippet connection, which is the stopper knot system. So I've been using the stopper knot for about 8 years or so. It's a two-part system consisting of a figure 8 knot at the end of your leader that acts as the stopper and actually holds your tippet on, and then the tippet, which is davy knotted up above the stopper. I started using this system probably in 2017. I came up with it by combining some ideas from a similar knot that just didn't have the same reusability but was a great knot shown me by former youth team member John Deitz, and also an article on Troutbitten written by Dom about a adjustable dry dropper system. And I kind of took concepts from both and melded them into the stopper knot system, which originally was a little bit different. It was a triple overhand knot with a what I called an inline clinch above it, so it sat pretty straight in line with the leader. And it's evolved with some help from friends and teammates and clients that have all put their own touch on it. And I now use a figure 8 knot at the end of the leader and a double davy above that to hold the tippet on. It's a lot faster, it's a cleaner connection, and excited to show you guys how to do it. Before we actually get into how to use this system, I just want to take a second and explain why it's so good and why I like to use it. So with popular tippet connection knots like a triple surgeons or a couple others, you have to actually use part of the leader every time you tie a new tippet on. So you might use 1 to 3 inches of a leader every time you change out your tippet. And it may not sound like much, but over the course of a day, if you're changing up a lot, you can pretty quickly get to a point where you've used up enough leader that it's actually going to affect your presentation, and you either have to deal with it or have to take the time to tie a new leader on. And that inefficiency is kind of why tippet rings became popular. And this works a lot like a tippet ring, where you tie the knot in the end and it stays there, and you just tie your tippets off of that same knot over and over again throughout the day. So you may be thinking, why not just use a tippet ring then? And the big difference is that the stopper knot adds pretty much no weight to the end of your leader, whereas a tippet ring, even some of the new 1mm micro tippet rings, add a pretty noticeable hinge point that affects your cast and presentation and just makes things a little bit less clean. So the stopper knot kind of takes the best of both worlds, where you don't have to eat into your leader and you just tie one simple knot off of it like a tippet ring, but it's weightless and creates a pretty seamless connection like a surgeon's knot or something of the like. Back when I started using this system 8 years ago, the micro tippet rings and the micro perfection loops that are popular nowadays weren't around, so this was definitely the best connection that I had access to. Now that those are here today, I would say the performance of the stopper knot is pretty similar to the performance of each of those as far as ease of use, fastness of tying off, and lack of hinge goes. The one place it still does kind of have a leg up is it's much faster to tie just that simple figure 8 in the end than either of those things. And also the micro tippet rings are pretty much impossible to find in the US. So that's why I've continued using the stopper knot even through to today. One thing to keep in mind if you're going to use this system is that the stopper knot isn't going to last indefinitely, especially if the terminal end of your leader is anything below 3x. There is a little bit of a lifespan on it, depending on the exact leader size, exact tippet size you're using. You'll probably get anywhere from 20 to 40 tippet reties before you have to put a new stopper knot in there. If you keep an eye on the stopper and just every time you're retying, just look to see if there's a little bit of necking or if it looks like it's a little discolored or just weird, you can try and just break it off with your fingernail, and if it pops off, that means it probably would have popped off if a fish ate on the tippet. If it doesn't, then you're probably good for at least another tie or two. One other thing I've noticed over the time that I've been fishing this is that the tippet connection to the stopper tends to be just a touch weaker than the tippet connection to the fly. I think because there's a little bit of an angle between the tippet and leader there as you're connecting it. It's not perfectly straight and in line. So what you'll get is you'll break off the entire tippet back to the leader a little bit more often than you would with a tippet ring or a surgeon's knot or something like that. So for me, fishing primarily single fly rigs, it doesn't bother me too much. If you're fishing a lot of double or multi-fly rigs, you may want to just do a little experimenting and see if it's worth it for you if you're breaking off the whole rig too often for your own liking. I think I've talked about it enough, so let's get into how to actually tie this system. To start off, we have to tie the stopper knot in the end of the leader. So you're gonna hold the tip of the leader in your dominant hand and the back of the leader in your non-dominant hand, just about 4 inches. Give it a little bit of slack by moving your hands close together, and then just twist your dominant thumb and forefinger until that leader twists into a nice little overlapping loop. Take the tag and put it through the loop, and then you have your nice little figure 8. Just wet it, pull it tight, and then I like to tighten it extra with my teeth by just biting on it and pulling. And then you can come trim your tag. If you're going to be doing a lot of cider floating, you can leave that tag a little bit longer, a little insider tip. It helps support the nymph a little bit. And then what I normally do is just trim it as flush as you can to the knot there. And that's your stopper. To tie off with a double davy, you're going to start by taking your leader and doubling it over like so, so that the stopper knot is on the side of the loop that's going to be facing your body. And then you're going to hold it together with the thumb and forefinger of your non-dominant hand. Then you're going to bring the tippet up through the bottom of that loop. And then you're just going to cinch everything down so that that thumb and forefinger is holding everything together. So you have the tag of your tippet that's now facing you. You're going to pull about 4 inches of slack into that. Then you're kind of brace everything with the middle and ring finger of that non-dominant hand. You're going to take the tag and you're going to cross it over the main line of the tippet, and then you're going to bring it up and under. So at this point you formed a simple overhand knot. Then you have kind of the back side of this circle of the overhand knot that's facing your body. You're going to take the tag and you're going to bring it around that once, around that twice, and then you're going to hold the end of that tag with that thumb and pointer finger, and you're just going to start cinching that knot down by pulling on the main line. You're going to cinch it to about 90% and then pull it tight the rest of the way. That tutorial may make things seem a little bit more complicated than they really are. Most of that was just how to tie a double davy knot in general. If you already know how to tie a double davy, it's going to be easier to think of this as you're folding the leader over to create a loop, and then through that loop you tie a double davy the same as you would tie it through the eye of a fly. There's really no difference other than just the way that you tighten it at the end and the side that you want that stopper knot to be on when you start tying it. So it's pretty straightforward, and with a little bit of practice, it's probably going to seem pretty natural. I'll show you guys kind of what this would look like in real speed, what you do on the river with a little bit of a walkthrough. Take your leader, make your loop, put your tippet through, and cinch down. Pull your tag out, cross it over, under, around once, around twice, cinch it down, wet and tighten. And there you go. That's your stopper system. You can break it off, stopper knot stays, tie it on again as many times as you want. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and got something out of it. I know this system isn't the most straightforward. It definitely takes a little trial and error and practice before you can use it on the river efficiently, but it really is one of the better systems for attaching and removing tippet. And if you have any questions, I will do my best to answer them in the comments. Feel free to ask away. And if you like the video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe for more.